With the carburetor soaking currently and degreasing and getting ready for its new life, I've got some time to actually work on the Shovelhead here. So today I'm going to pull the front fender and the front wheel off this so I can have a matching set of wheels on the front and rear. And I'm also going to work on installing the proper front fender, the one that I want on this bike, that I think will make all the difference in how this bike looks. So let's get into it. We're going to pull the brake first. Once we have the brake pulled, then we're going to pull this front wheel, and I think I've got just about enough room in here to pull it properly, or at least be able to get the fender out of the way, I think. So we're going to start there. We're going to pull the brake, and then we're going to work and see what we can get done. I know I'll have to go through and re-bleed these brakes and make sure that they're in good shape again. That's okay. I don't mind. I know this entire bike will need a whole once-over once I get everything hung. They need to be spit shined and polished and made to look as good as possible. Of course, as some people say, well, we're polishing a turd. But I'm excited to see this bike come together. I'm excited to hang these new parts on it, see the transformation, see the vision that I have in my head come to life. Of course, then I'll market this thing and I'll get her on the road and we'll sell it off to somebody else. Maybe one of you guys will buy it. My goal with this bike is to get it sold, and then I've got a 66 FL that I'd like to bring in the shop and get running. I think I'm going to do a full mechanical restoration on that one. I think the motor and transmission are coming out. I think those are all going to get gone through. I know that bike has been sitting since 1997. I bought it from the owner's sister, is who it was. The owner had passed away, unfortunately, and I was able to purchase the bike from her. It was a bike that the original owner had wanted for a long time, I guess, and he had it for a short period of time before he actually passed away. And I am grateful enough to own it, and I've had it for a while now myself, and I have not done a whole lot with it. I've changed the seat out and kind of played with it a little bit, and I know the bike will fire. The carb is fully rebuilt. It's not properly timed, so the first goal will be to time it, and then of course get establish a baseline there too to see how well it runs, and then go from there. But my thoughts are that whole bike will need a mechanical restoration. So I'm thinking I'm going to take the motor and trans out and get that whole thing ready to be rebuilt, and then have a good running riding 1966 Shovelhead. Now that I got the brake out of the way here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to loosen this front axle. And I know the bike is up quite a ways, so pulling this axle is going to be probably a bit of a challenge in this position. On the other side here, I'm loosening this lower fork leg cap. Once I have this loose enough, I should be able to push this axle through, and I'll support the wheel by holding it in place while I push on the axle. now with the wheel lowered, I think I have enough room to get to these bolts in here to get the fender removed. And I think I can get the fender out of place without pulling the wheel first. I think. So we're going to attempt that. I'm thinking these have been in there a long time. Of course, I'm not sure what kind of Loctite they have on them or don't have on them, or if it's just rust. It could be. Of course, I don't want any of these to break off in this fork leg. I know that happens easily. I'm hoping to avoid that if I can help it. Side is close to being removed. I think I'm going to have to get to these from the bottom side here. I think that'll be the easiest way to go. Of course, those are good and stuck in there. So I'm only able to turn it a little bit at a time. And I know I could lift the bike up a little further with the jack and then move the tire out of the way. I do worry about doing that. I don't want to knock the bike over on its side. And when working by yourself, you got to think about those things. If I knock the bike over now, I can do a lot of damage to it, and then can I pick it up? I probably could, but I don't want to run the risk. So at least now the bike is sitting firmly on the jack, on its rear wheel, and it's actually strapped in place. So I feel confident that it shouldn't go anywhere. This one is going to fight me its entire way out. But we're in the home stretch now. As you can see, these things are rusty. They've been in there probably quite a while. Again, this bike probably sat wherever, wasn't taken very good care of, and who knows what was addressed last. If I get too far, I'm going to pull this brake line retainer here. That way that's out of the way, and then this fender should be able to be removed from the bike. Now that the front fender is removed and the wheel is out of the way, I can go ahead and clean these lower legs up a little bit, just real quickly. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rotor off of the wheel that I had previously installed and put it on a new wheel. That way I'm using that same rotor because I like it and it's in good shape, so that'll go on the new wheel. But first I want to go ahead and I want to clean this up just a little bit to make this look a little bit better. I'm just going to take a rag and a little brake parts cleaner and spray the leg off, and that's all I'm going to do for now. Eventually this will get a total scrub down and wash. I've gone ahead and cleaned the insides of these legs, and I've also sprayed out the holes on the legs where the bolts go in to attach the fender. This is in an effort to clean the rust that's in there out of there. I will go ahead and re-lubricate those bolts once I put them back in, and then I'll have to check them eventually down the road to see if they've loosened up. They may require a little blue Loctite, and typically I would put that on there, but with the amount of rust that's actually in these, I'm not sure if I'll need it right yet or not. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lubricate them, put them back in when I put the bolts back in place. Now that the rotor is back onto the wheel, I will be using the original hubcap that was on the opposite side. It also doubles as a spacer and sets the wheel spacing up properly. And I do like the look because these could be a dual disc wheel, and this covers up those disc holes, making it solid and giving it a nice clean look. First, we're going to start off by sliding the fender in place. We're going to go ahead and get this pushed into the proper spot, and then we'll start working those bolts back into where they go. Now that the fender is sitting in its proper location, I'm going to go ahead and grab these bolts, give them a little bit of lubricating spray, and start working them in by hand. One of the things I need to do before I get too far ahead of myself is actually get this wheel tucked in here the proper way. So I'm going to go ahead and push the fender up a little bit and push the wheel in at the same time. That way I've got the wheel setting in its proper space, and then I can start working on buttoning up this fender. Now with the wheel setting in its spot, I'm going to start working the fender into its correct position and start threading these bolts back in. Now that those bolt holes are clean and these are lubricated, they actually go in much easier. With a little bit of rust in there, and of course not a lot of working room, definitely gives you a little bit of a challenge getting these things in place. Aligning the fender can be a bit of a challenge, especially when you're doing it by yourself and you're in this type of a situation. So what I like to do is I like to get all 4 of the bolts started, and then I get one pretty close to being snugged all the way down, and then I'll crisscross the pattern. So now I'm going to come, I did the back left or right side, excuse me. Now I'm going to do the front left side. And I'm not going to snug them all the way down, I'm just going to get them close. And what that'll do is that should align this pretty well. Not that there was a bunch of slop in the holes, but this just makes it a little bit easier to get all the bolts to kind of draw in pretty evenly. So I'm going to move to the other front one on the right hand side. Get that one drawn in almost all the way. Again, we'll move to the back left side and get that one to do the same. I'm actually going to tighten this one all the way down to the bottom, and then we'll start the process over on the other side. Well, friends, I finally got the front wheel on and the front fender put in place. Everything's assembled the way it should be, brakes back on, everything's ready to rock. So I want to show you guys what this bike is looking like and kind of give you an idea of my vision of this motorcycle. Hopefully you'll find it as cool as I do in my own head. I think that wheel and tire combo looks awesome on this old bike. To me, it gives it that hot rod look. The one thing I was worried about were these fender guards or those garnishes. I figured they weren't going to fit on there properly, so I did have to unbolt those, and I'll go ahead and I'll end up getting some sort of double-sided tape or something to stick them on or adhere them back to the fender, because I do like that look. I think it's going to look nice. I think it's going to make this whole motorcycle pop. But here's the front wheel on the bike, and of course we'll walk around and we'll show you what it looks like with the back wheel too. There's the back wheel and tire. Obviously the chain's not on yet. I got a little bit of work to do there. Front caliper and rotor are all assembled there. This does have the accessory light here, and I will go ahead and wire that in. I just didn't do that today. That's one of the things I'll button up a little bit later. But this is how this bike is turning out. This is the vision that I had for this machine once I started really working on it. I've had these fenders for a long time. These are actually off a 1970 FLH. I also have a set of 5-gallon fat bobs and a rear fender for this. So this whole bike will end up being black and essentially chrome. And I think it's going to be a mean looking bike. What do you guys think? Well, friends, another day accomplished in the shop. A few more things picked off the list, and I'm a little bit closer to getting this project done. We'll try to do one video a day or one video every other day of different things that I'm putting on this bike. Unfortunately, I'm waiting on parts. I've got a couple things on order that I'm waiting on, and I can't do much until I get those. I do need to address the clutch cable and of course the throttle cables. I'll replace those, and we'll probably make a video of that. And then putting the rear fender on, putting the tanks on, obviously putting the carburetor back together once that thing gets fully cleaned up. Hopefully I'll have that done tomorrow. I've got that thing soaking right now. We ran it through one ultrasonic bath. I do need to scrub on it a little bit, and I'll run it through a second ultrasonic bath, which should clean that thing up really well. So stay tuned, guys. We'll have that done hopefully tomorrow, if not sometime next week early. I know it's Thursday. This week's coming to an end fast, unfortunately, and I'm running out of time. Anyway, if you guys like the video, give it a thumbs up. I appreciate all the likes and all the support. You guys are fantastic with the comments. Feel free to comment on all my videos or anything that you have questions about or want to give feedback on or anything. I'm very grateful for that. I love that communication. It's a good way for me to talk to the world, honestly. And when you work by yourself, it's nice to be able to talk to people, even if it is online. If you haven't subscribed yet, please give my channel a subscription. Hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon. That bell icon will notify you every time I put up a video. Like I said, I'm trying to do these one a day, one every other day, or more often, if I can. If time allows, between working and everything else I have going on in my life, I will put out a video. As always, I appreciate you guys sticking till the end. We'll see you next time.